Hello everyone, welcome to Physics 205. So in this video, I want to go over the solutions for the in-class practice for the conversion problems. Okay, so in this first problem, you're given an area, in this case 5 feet squared, and we want to convert that to inches squared. Okay, and we know the relationship between feet and inches, right? We know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So as a unit conversion factor, we can either write this as 12 inches over 1 foot, or we could write it as 1 foot over 12 inches. Well, which one is going to be useful? We want feet to cancel, right? In this case, we're given feet. We want them to cancel. So in our unit conversion factor, we want feet to be in the denominator, and we want inches to be in the numerator because it has to end up in the answer here. But I have to be a little careful. So I need to multiply by 12 inches over 1 foot. But if I do that, only one of the units of feet is going to cancel. I need another one to cancel. So I need to also multiply it by another 12 inches over 1 foot, right? I need 2 unit conversion factors. Then feet squared will cancel with feet times feet. And then if you work this out, 5 times 12 over 1 times 1 times 1. Really, you're multiplying these fractions, right? 5 over 1 times 12 over 1 times 12 over 1. That's going to give you 720 over 1, which is 720. So this is going to be 720 inches squared. That would be my answer. Okay, the next question, we're asked to convert from hectograms to centigrams. So this is like a conversion within the metric system. Remember, there is a quick way of doing this. If you look at the table, here, let me write this out. Let's say I have grams or meters, right, or liters, whatever the unit is in the middle. And then to the right of that, I have decigrams, then centigrams, and then milligrams. And to the left, I have deca, so DAG, grams, hectograms, and then kilograms. And we're starting at hectograms, so we're starting here, and I want to move to centigrams. So on the table, remember, because these are all factors of 10, I can just think about it. Well, if I need to move from hectograms to centigrams, I need to move 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right on the table, which means in the number here, I want to move the decimal point 4 places to the right. So if I have 0.0137, and I move this 4 places to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, that will give me my answer now in centigrams. So this is going to equal 137 centigrams. Okay, that's one way of doing it. You could also use unit conversion factors, but that's the quickest way to do it if you're within the decimal, within the metric system. If you're just converting within a metric system, it's easier just moving the decimal point, right? Whatever you have to move on the table here, you move it the same number of places, you move the decimal point. Okay, next question. Convert, let's see, 55 kilometers per hour to meters per second. Okay, so if I start with 55 km per hour, and I want to go ultimately to meters per second. So over here somewhere, I want meters per second. So I can do this in steps. I'm going to need in steps. I need a bunch of unit conversion factors. First of all, I need to go from kilometers to meters. Well, I know that there's 1,000 meters, right, in 1 kilometer. So I can write that as 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer. Again, why do I want to do it that way as opposed to 1 kilometer over 1,000 meters? Because I want kilometers to be in the denominator in my unit conversion factor so they cancel with the kms here. So if I were to stop right now, right, my answer would be in meters per hour, but I want meters per second. So now I need to convert hours into seconds. Well, first, let me go from hours to minutes. We know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. So now hours will cancel. If I were to stop now, it'd be meters per minute, but I want meters per second. So if I go a little further, I know that 1 minute is 60 seconds. Right now, minutes cancel. And then I have exactly what I want. I'm going to end up in meters per second. So again, if you multiply, this is really just going to be 55 over 1 times 1,000 over 1 times 1 over 60 times 1 over 60. Right? So if you work this out, this is going to be like 15.28 meters per second. Again, if we're being really careful with significant figures, then we'd have to round this to like, I guess, 15 in this case, meters per second. So this should be 15 meters per second. Okay. The other way you could have done this, let's say you knew the conversion directly between meters per second and kilometers per hour. So if you knew that 1 meter per second was equal to 3.60 kilometers per hour, then we could do this in one step, right? If you know that unit conversion factor, then we could say, well, this is 55. I'm starting with kilometers per hour. And then I want meters per second to remain in the numerator. So I'm going to write this unit conversion factor as 1 meter per second over 3.60 kilometers per hour. And if you work that out, you're going to get around 15.3 meters per second. And again, if we round to just two significant figures, it's 15 meters per second. So if you have extra information, if you know like some direct conversion factor, then you could just use it directly, right? Because in this case, the kilometers per hours cancel with kilometers per hours, and I'm left with meters per second in my answer. Okay, so 55 divided by 3.60 is around 15. All right, but either way is fine, right? You should also know how to do it if you need to use multiple conversion factors like we did here. Okay, sometimes that is even easier actually, but you can always like look up some direct conversion if you need to. Okay, question 4. Given that 1 gallon is 3.786 liters, convert 10 gallons per minute to milliliters per second. Okay, so I'm starting with 10 gallons per minute. And ultimately, I want to go to milliliters per second. So I guess first, let me go from gallons to liters. Well, we were given that conversion factor, right? We know that 3.786 liters is 1 gallon. So at this point, right, gallons would cancel. I would have liters per minute, but I want milliliters per second. So now let me go from liters to milliliters. Well, I know that there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter, right? So liters now cancels, and I have milliliters per minute, but I want to go to milliliters per second. So now I need to convert minutes per second. Now I need to put minutes in the numerator here, so it cancels, right? So 1 minute is 60 seconds. So now minutes cancels. And now I have the correct units, right? I would have milliliters in my numerator and seconds in my denominator, which is exactly what I want. So if I work this out, this is 10 over 1 times 3.786 over 1 times 1,000 over 1 times 1 over 60. So it'll be something over 60, whatever that is, work it out, and you're going to find it's around 631 milliliters per second. Again, if I'm being careful, right, if I want just two sig figs, I guess I'd have to write this as 630 milliliters per second. So this is like 630 milliliters per second. Okay, next question. The speed of light is approximately 3.00 times 10 to the 8th meters per second, right? Really, really fast. Was that like 300 million meters per second? Convert the speed of light to miles per hour. And it even gives us the unit conversion factor. It says 1 meter per second is equivalent to 2.237 miles per hour. That makes it easy, okay? So Oh, and then I also want to convert to miles per second at some point too. Okay. So I'm going to start with 3.00 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. I want to go to miles per hour, but I know that 2.237 miles per hour is equal to 1, so I put it over 1 meter per second. Again, why did I put meter per second in the denominator? Because I want them to cancel. And if you work that out, this is going to be like 6.71. So 6.71 times 10 to the 8th. And now it'll be in miles per hour. Okay, and then if we want miles per second, well, since I have miles per hour right now, I'll start with that. I have 6.71 times 10 to the 8th miles per hour. And then if I multiply, well, 1 hour is 60 minutes. And in 1 minute is 60 seconds. Right? That'll give me what I want because hours will cancel, minutes will cancel. By the way, this combination here, this will give you the conversion between hours and seconds, right? So it turns out the other way you could have done this, and this will come up all the time, where you're going from hours to second. If you work this out, right, the minutes cancel, and you're gonna get 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. So that will just like save you one step. Instead of using 2 unit conversion factors, you could use 1, right? Either way is fine. So if you do this, you're going to get around 186,000 miles per second. And obviously same thing here, right? 186,000. So speed of light is really quick, right? So in 1 second, it travels 186,000 miles. I think it's something like it goes around the earth maybe 7 times a second, right? The speed of light. So very, very fast. Okay, last question. You're told a box has dimensions of 3 feet by 4 feet by 5 feet. What is the volume of the box in inches cubed and in centimeters cubed? Okay, so first of all, the volume of a box in general is going to be length times width times height. And we're told the length is 3 feet, the width is 4 feet, and the height is 5 feet. Actually, it doesn't even matter exactly what you call length, what you call width, what you call height, right? I'm just assuming the length is 3, the width is 4, the height is 5, but it could be the height is 3, the width is 4, and the length is 5, right? It doesn't matter. Because to find the volume, I need to multiply those together. So be careful though, when you multiply these together, you have to also multiply the units together. So 3 feet times 4 feet times 5 feet. You're going to end up with 60. And then units are feet cubed, right? It's a volume now. Feet times feet times feet is feet cubed. So 60 feet cubed. Okay, so I'm starting with 60 feet cubed. I want to convert that into inches cubed. Right, I want this to be inches cubed. Well, I know that 1 foot is 12 inches. So I can use that factor, 12 inches over 1 foot. But I need to use that same factor 3 times. Right, so then I have feet times feet times feet is feet cubed. That cancels my feet cubed. And then this is simply going to be 60 over 1 times 12 over 1 times 12 over 1 times 12 over 1. If you work that out, so this is 60 over 1 times 12 over 1 times 12 over 1 times 12 over 1. That's going to be 103,680 inches cubed. And then if we want to keep just, I don't know how many sig figs. Let's say there's 3 sig figs in this case. Let's say everything's accurate to 3 sig figs. Then this would be like 1.04 times 10 to the 5th. You could write it in scientific notation, inches cubed. Right, so that'd be the answer in inches cubed. And if we want centimeters cubed, I can start with this, right? Actually, I'll start with the more accurate. So 103,680 inches cubed, and I want to go to centimeters cubed. And I know that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so here I'd have to multiply by 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. Then I would need another one. And then finally another one. Right? I have to multiply it by 3, that unit conversion factor 3 times. So now inches cubes cancels. I'm going to have 103680 over 1 times 2.54 over 1 times 2.54 over 1 times 2.54 over 1. If you work that out and then round it, it'll be 1.70 times 10 to the 6 centimeters cubed. Okay, so actually quite a bit, maybe, 10 times, well, a little more than 10 times as many centimeters cubed as inches cubed. Okay, so that's it for the in-class practice on conversions. Thanks.